Hey everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Rumcast. This is another one of our Semi-Blind Rum Reviews, the new miniature series that we're doing. I don't know if it's a miniature series, John. I'm just saying that because the episodes are much shorter than our typical episodes. So it's miniature in some ways. It's not a mini series in the sense that we're only going to do 6 of these and call it quits.
It's bite-sized Rumcast.
Bite-sized Rumcast. That's even better. The premise for this, if you are joining us on a Semi-Blind Rum Review episode for the first time, is we are doing a rum review of sorts, but putting our own spin on it, where one of us has tried this rum before and is familiar with it and knows its identity, and the other person, as the name suggests, is going into this blind. So the other person does not know the identity of the rum. They don't know anything about it other than what it looks like in the glass. We're not going as far as getting the black Glencairn glasses, where you can't the
see the color
opaque ones where you can't see the color.
Yeah.
We're not doing that because we have to pour them into the glasses themselves. But that is the angle of the Semi-Blind Rum Review. That's what we're doing. And in this case, John is the blind rum reviewer this time. So I know the identity of this rum. It's one I've had before. John is trying it for the very first time. We're going to go through a series of, trying to get John to guess the right things about this. We're going to talk about proof, source material, age, still, country of origin, what price he thinks it should be, and then the ultimate question of would you buy it before the reveal happens. So, John, are you ready to dive in?
I'm ready for the whole rigmarole here. Let's do it.
The whole rigmarole. That's what we do.
Yeah.
All right. Let's give this thing a nose.
Well, let's, as you're nosing it.
We can also show the people
what it
looks like.
Let's state the obvious here. This looks like an unaged rum. It's clear as water. So,
there are a lot of clear rums out there that are aged,
You're not that cheeky. This is an unaged rum, I think. We'll see. We'll see. I'm gonna taste it. Well, let me nose it first. Okay. So a little bit of tiny bit of almost lemon peel, maybe.
One of the first things that pops into mind for me is lime peel. So I think, lemon, what is it other than a slightly different lime peel?
Citrus peel. And a pretty classic nose. I'm going to taste it before I start deciding some of this, but I get a pretty classic kind of cane juicy nose here, but I'm not ready to commit yet.
I definitely get, I think there's an earthy vibe to it on top of that citrus peel note that you were describing. It's got some grime to it for me too as well. There's a little bit of that garage floor kind of going on with it. Yeah. But also some interesting savory earthy elements. I guess garage floor counts as an earthy element, but there's some savory stuff going in, almost like it's not quite saffron, but like something in that vein that I get from it. Slightly perfumey.
Yes, I was going to mention that just now, that I get something perfumey in there, which is not my favorite on nosing. The floral type of thing is not my super thing.
I know that's one of your bugaboos. I'm trying to contribute a little bit here without leading the witness too much. I don't want to just sit here and be silent on the other end, because at the end of the day, it's a review from both of us. So I'm trying to share some of my thoughts and impressions along the way as well.
Yeah,
without giving away too much, of course.
Yeah, and maybe by pointing out that I don't really love floral, it's not a nose that I love, and it's sort of fine. It's there for what I believe is an unaged rum. It's there. But it doesn't make me want to keep going back to it, really.
Okay.
It's just okay.
All right.
It almost, dare I say, like standard.
Standard. Interesting.
Yeah. All right, I'm going in.
All right.
So now I almost feel less sure of it being cane juice after tasting it. It's got some pot element in there. I'm not 100% sure it's 100% pot. It could be a blend, pot and column blend, but I do think there's some pot in there at minimum. It's nice and it gets those estery, fruity notes in there, but not overpowering. It's there and it's fun. I would say that I like the palate right now more than I like the nose. I don't get the floral, whatever it was from the nose in the palate. I get a lot of fruit. I'm going to go back in and keep getting some notes.
I agree with you on that. That floral component is not there as much in these initial few sips. And there's a little more fruitiness. I feel like I use this note a lot. I need to diversify my melon tasting notes, but I get kind of a melon tasting note from it.
What kind of melon?
Yeah, I mean something like a cantaloupe, I think.
Yeah.
You know, that kind of like soft, subtle melon flavor, not super strong or sharp or anything like that, but kind of mellow and smooth flavor. And there's the citrus in there. I do get some of that a little bit of that grungy note that I got on the nose, that kind of garage floor, a little bit rubbery. Not in a derogatory way. That's a positive rubber note for me.
Positive dirty garage floor.
Yes, exactly.
I am enjoying the palate a good amount. It's good. This feels well made. It feels powerful enough for me to enjoy here sipping, but not knocking me off my chair. I can enjoy the flavors of it, but it's got enough there. I'm starting to gravitate towards the 50-ish% ABV.
Okay.
And maybe north of that, but it doesn't. It's drinks well for it.
It's a little gravelly too, I would say.
Yeah.
In taste, not in texture.
I'm already starting to narrow down some places in my head here. I feel like, and I could be this could blow up my spot here, but I feel like I've had this rum before. And the things that are coming to mind are, one, some of the UK rums that we recently tried that were unaged. Two, somewhere in the Caribbean, which I know is, I'm just throwing things out here. Yeah.
Look, we've got the entire world to have to consider right now. It's not like there are really areas of the world you can just ignore when you're trying to guess a rum blindly. I guess you could rule out maybe like, I don't know, Russia or something, but there's not a lot of places you can rule out.
I mean, yeah, it would be a surprise to me if it is like Asia, but it could be. Like, I don't want to completely throw that off the table. But I don't feel like it's an Australian rum, so I'm kind of eliminating that. Not getting South America. If it more maybe like a Mexico and or Caribbean, like I said, is somewhere in there. Maybe a Louisiana, something in that kind of an area.
You just listed like so many places that are so different. You're like, yeah, something kind of like that. Yeah,
I'm narrowing it in. It's like it's pulling it down some.
Yeah.
So
let's back up for a second. Another thing to add, I just got kind of like a little mintiness from it as well. There's like a little bit kind of herbal quality. Let's try to get a finalized source material, because when you were kind of cane juice on the nose, and then you were kind of not so sure about that on the palate. You're shaking your head now. It's tough, isn't it?
It is tough. I'm starting to go more towards molasses, and now I feel really bad, like, because I should know. Like, those are the things that you feel like you should just know, But I really am a little confused with it for whatever reason. I'm gonna. Shit. I think I'm going to end up going molasses, but I could be. I don't feel as confident in that as I'd like to be.
Okay. I've been there. Are you still going all the way unaged?
Yes.
All right. And what about still? You mentioned maybe some pot still, maybe a blend. You weren't quite sure. Can we pin you down on that?
I'm going to go with blend. I feel like there's pot element. It wouldn't knock me over if you said it was 100% pot, but I feel like there's not enough of some of that typical pot you get, so I'm going to go with blend.
What about price?
Well, I'm sticking with unaged, and typically when you get an unaged product, it's going to be hard, although they exist, to find one that's more than $50. I'm going to go with something along the edge of $39, because it's not a cheap rum, right? It feels like it's something that's probably crafty and well executed, which means it's going to be a little pricier than your normal unaged. So,
all right.
Yeah. Gonna go with 39.40.
I'm following your logic there. I'm following your logic. All right. Well, a couple of things we have left. How much do we want to narrow down country of origin?
I wouldn't put it past you to have given me some like one from the Hamden Marks series, like a lower ester something.
That's actually a good idea.
You're just throwing me off now.
I'm filing that one away.
But I don't think, I feel like I would know Hamden more. So I'm going to remove it. Two things come to mind for me. Okay. One is one of the UK distilleries that we had talked about.
Is there a particular one?
There was so many we tried. And, like Isla Rum Company comes to mind, Outlier, some of those, but I don't know that I could get it down to a distillery. If I had to, I guess maybe Isla, but I don't know that I'm ready to fully commit to that and stand on it. The other one that comes to mind is something that's a little bit weirder and it's oddly specific. But again, I feel like I've tried this rum before.
I love oddly specific.
So I'm going to run with it. I feel like I had a sample of a new rum distillery that is putting out something recently, and it's reminding me of Rosalie Bay, Dominica.
Oh, which is a cane juice rum.
So that's why I'm... like back to like, I don't know. But I don't know why, but it's when I taste things, I get broad strokes of thoughts. And that's the thought that came to me was like, I feel like
thoughts. Yeah.
I feel like that is somehow close. It could be for other reasons. It could be ABV could be similar. It could be, I don't know exactly, but that's what pulled. Yeah.
To clarify for people who are not familiar with the project, this is a very new project on the island of Dominica. That's a cane juice rum distillery called Rosalie Bay. Really interesting. I think at some point we'll probably do an episode with them at some point just because it's so interesting and we have some connections there. And it's exciting that there's cane juice rum on Dominica again. So
I don't think it's it is reminding me of the Rosalie Bay, but to your point about it being cane juice, and I think I'm landing on molasses, I feel like I'm going to go to the UK. That's where I'm hanging my very loose-fitting hat right now.
Really quickly, what is it about this rum that makes you go to the UK so quickly? I know that's kind of a hard question to answer, but when we talk about these emerging rum regions, a lot of times we talk about like they don't necessarily have that signature regional style quite yet because everyone's so new and figuring their own thing out. It's not like a Jamaica where you can be like, oh, I'm not quite sure which distillery this is right away, but I know it's Jamaican. What is it about it that makes you go to the UK?
There's something I haven't put my finger on it yet, to be honest, and I'm still trying to work it out in my head because it's a fair and good question. Part of it is I'm going to say straight up, even unrelated to the liquid, it's strategy. How do I start to think about what I'm tasting? Where are the possibilities of what I'm tasting at a broad stroke level, and what can I rule out like we were doing before? And it feels like UK makes some sense. We didn't talk about it, but some US craft distilleries maybe also, but I don't feel like it's that. I am still feeling the UK. And to your point, it's got some shared DNA with some Caribbean distilleries, but not all of it. And that's the part where I have trouble telling you what it is that I'm zeroing in on.
What do you just zooming out from a review perspective now instead of the trying to guess it, portion of the podcast? How do you feel just in terms of overall satisfaction with the rum? You talked through kind of your impressions of it. We didn't really talk about the finish much. How is the finish going for you?
That's a great point because I was going to bring it up and I forgot. It's a longer finish for me. I'm getting really good waves and it stays around for a while, which is a nice thing to have for an unaged rum. There's so many unaged rums. That's kind of why I got rid of South American rums. You typically call them distilled because the finish fades so fast that I feel like this is more pot or blend, and that finish is coming from that. And then I start to think, well, where is that happening? And then I start to think of those regions we mentioned.
Yep. So for me, it's an evolving finish too. It's not just kind of a one singular note. You get a little bit of all that stuff we were describing earlier in varying waves. So, okay, final question. Would you, assuming this is around the price point you mentioned, is this a rum you think you would buy?
Absolutely. And I think I would be happy showing it to people, and those people who like what I determine or think is an unaged rum to share it with. And then also, this would probably be fantastic in a daiquiri. I would love to have this in a daiquiri. I think it would stand up really well. I think it would shine. And like we mentioned, some of that lime peel note that's in there would work well in it. So that's what I would love to try this in. And even if it was $40, I would be fine making a daiquiri with this.
And just because I can't remember if we did or not, did you have a final proof guess? I know you were like around 50 early on, but I don't think we've revisited it.
I mean, I'm still going to go up from 50. I just don't know how far. So I'm going to settle on 52, 53.
Okay.
52 and a half, whatever. Yeah.
All right. So this is John's guess, a rum from a UK distillery. You're not going to say which one you think it is?
No, I'm not that good.
All right. I'll let you go there. John thinks this is a molasses rum, around 52 or 53% ABV, unaged, a pot column blend, and about $39, and he would buy it. All right. Are you ready for the reveal?
I'm ready. I'm ready to see how wrong I am with this.
All right. Bum ba ba bum bum bum.
Oh, I never shit. Because I said at the very end, I said it wouldn't surprise me if it was the U.S.
This is Roulaison Overproof rum from Louisiana, from Roulaison Distilling Company in New Orleans. It is a 100% molasses rum sourced right there in Louisiana. It is unaged. Okay. It is 100% pot still. So, yeah, I think you said you wouldn't be surprised if that were the case. It is 57.5%.
Wow.
ABV.
Okay.
So a little bit higher. I think it drinks lower than that, by the way. So I don't think you were off base in your suggestion. And this isn't, when you were talking about this has some connections to the Caribbean, but it's not that. Mm-hmm. I think that's kind of exactly what this rum is going for. They do long fermentation. They do stuff with dunder. This rum in particular, it's pretty interesting and involved the way they make it. So it's pot still, like I said, but they do two different fermentations for it. They do one like 20 to 24 day fermentation with a Belgian beer yeast. And then they do another fermentation that's around the same length, but they use a Brettanomyces yeast, and they blend it all together anyway. And I think a little bit of their Queen Share distillate is in the blend as well. But yeah, it's to me, when people ask me about American rums that are worth trying or interesting, this is always one of the ones that I bring up. I think everything they do at Roulaison is interesting, and in a good way. That's not interesting and like it's interesting, but it kind of sucks way. You know, it's interesting and it's really good and it's like truly unique. Like although I do think this rum a little bit reminds me, it's like a cousin of the Unya Moore from Isla Rum Company, which that's one of those UK distilleries, and it's I don't want to say it's a similar approach because there are distinct differences, but that rum is also a long fermentation, interesting yeast, 100% molasses, Caribbean influences, but not trying to like reproduce it or whatever. So I think those are two distilleries that have similar philosophies in some ways. I think Roulaison differs a little bit in that it's using local ingredients, being there in Louisiana.
Right.
But so I don't think your guess was bad at all. I think you got a lot of stuff really close, and I think you chose a location that is spiritually similar to where this rum came from, because UK, it's very similar to the American rum scene. I think it's a little bit newer, but you see a lot of similar things over there. So obviously geographically you were very far off, but I think in terms of logic and profile and everything, I think it was a very good, educated guess.
I appreciate it. And I knew that I had tried this rum before. By the way, I have tried that Overproof Roulaison.
I thought that you had. Yeah, I thought you had. Yeah.
And it was trying to come back to me, and it was like and I've tried that one actually in the last 6 months. So it was like in my recent files in my head somehow. Yeah. And so I was like going through, UK I've tried, Rosalie Bay I've tried recently, and like I was trying to pinpoint it where it was. So I'm not surprised, because I remember when I tried that rum, I liked it already, and have tried a few other things from Roulaison that I really enjoy as well. So it's like you said, for the same reasons, I feel like it's a good product. What's the price point on it?
Oh, that's another thing you were dead on.
Really?
So, yeah, if you look on Sealbox right now, it's $36.99, and
Nice.
I saw a Total Wine link. I don't know which Total Wine it was, but it was like $41.99. So you said 39, so
Yeah.
you were like literally right dead on. So
Sweet.
kudos to you on that.
Awesome.
I think you can give yourself a solid B plus on this one.
Oh man, C's get degrees, so I'll take the B plus.
All right. Well, that's it for this episode of Rumcast Semi-Blind Rum Reviews. Hey, let us know what you think of the segment. If there's things we could do differently, we want your feedback. We want to hear if you like it. If you want us to do more, let us know. Send us an email, host@rumcast.com. That's HOST@rumcast.com. Or as always, you can find us on social media. John, where can they find us?
At the Rumcast on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Threads. Find us through one of there. And YouTube. Don't forget YouTube.
Don't
Doing
forget
more
YouTube.
with the video.
If you want to watch this, this
Yeah.
will be on YouTube with video. With video. You can see John's amazed face when I reveal the bottle to him. Also, we should add a very nice bottle.
It is a nice
the
bottle.
The Roulaison labels are great. I think it's one that you and I both can agree on.
Agree.
It's in it's in that 35% Venn diagram of bottles and labels that we both really like. So
I think that's about right where it is. Yep, I would agree.
All
Cool.
right. With all that said, we will see you all back again soon for another Semi-Blind Rum Review. Cheers.
Cheers.